Hey everybody, welcome back to the Percy Jack Son of Poseidon podcast. So this is going to be my review for Season 2, Episode 2, and this is the big episode where they have the chariot race, so this is going to be a lot of fun. I like this episode a lot. So this episode opens with Percy and Annabeth creating a distraction for Tantalus so that Annabeth can go into his office and communicate with Chiron, so she sends an iris message. And I like the way that she creates a rainbow. I kind of forgot how the iris message worked, but it's just rainbow, I think, and then you just throw a drachma coin into it. So she communicates with Chiron, and this is our first appearance of Chiron for the season, and he's, in Miami, Florida, and he's got like a Hawaiian shirt on or something. He's like, relaxing and chilling. And then he tells Annabeth that, whatever happens, Percy can just not go on the quest because of the great prophecy, right? The prophecy, which we know is, about a child of the big three, right? And so he doesn't want Percy going on the quest. So, Annabeth is obviously conflicted because, she doesn't want to lie to Percy. So she doesn't know how to handle it. She doesn't know what to do. So I kind of like this kind of setup that we're giving, this problem that we're giving Annabeth, even though it is kind of just a false communication type of thing of well, if you just lie, And so I don't usually like those, but I think here it works because it's coming from Chiron, somebody she really looks up to, right? And so then in the meantime, we get to see the chariot race. Campers are getting ready for the chariot race, and we get a cute little interaction, right? Clarice is kind of teasing Chris Rodriguez, and Percy, can kind of tell that she likes him. He's got a little smirk on his face, and some of the other campers laugh, and I think it's just kind of a cute moment to kind of set up their relationship going forward, Clarice and Chris. And I don't know if it's in book 3 or book 4 that we find out that they had a thing going on, but it's just a really cute scene. And then Tantalus comes up and tries to punish Percy for being out of his cabin, but Percy brings out the rule book because Annabeth told him to, right? So that's also a cute little moment. And, I do like, the beginning where we get Annabeth and Percy, and she's trying to tell him what to do, and he's like, hey, I get in trouble all the time. I'll be fine. I'll know how to handle myself. So I thought that was kind of really cute, too. And then Percy kind of gets upset when Annabeth doesn't want to team up with him for the chariot race because he can't win, because he can't have the quests. So it creates a little drama between the two of them. So Percy goes to Tyson. Tyson helps him fix up the old chariot. And, the two sons of Poseidon, they go and they race in the chariot race. Tyson being a Cyclops, he's good with fixing things, mechanically inclined. And so I like bringing that aspect of Tyson in and having him be useful. So, later we see he's really quick to patch up the boat. So I like, having a skill set that Tyson, I really, really enjoy this version of Tyson. I think it's better than the book, and I think it's way better than the movie version because he's not dumb. In the book, he comes off very, very childlike, very kind of slow, kind of dumb, kind of like Lenny from Of Mice and Men. In this version, he's not dumb, stupid. He's just more naive, right? And so I kind of like that, where he is capable of doing things. He's not a complete idiot, but he is a little childlike and he's a little naive. And I think this actor is doing a great job. And I think it's actually doing a really great job because I almost forget that he's a Cyclops. I almost don't even notice the eye sometimes because he's doing such a good job with the performance. So I really like this version of Tyson a lot. And so they get in line for the chariot race. And then we get the chariot race from the book, which is really awesome with the Stymphalian birds, coming to attack like a scene out of the movie The Birds. It's from the books. And so we race the chariots, the birds are attacking. So I really liked what they did here with in the show. They got an old boombox from Chiron's office and they blast Mariah Carey really loud, which is a lot of fun. So I like that. Really dramatizing the bird attack, and because I think Clarice was the only one to finish the race or kept going or something, Tantalus, declares her the winner and grants her the quest for the Golden Fleece, which he tries to take credit for, but Percy is like, hey, that was my idea, and the campers are like, nobody cares. And then since Annabeth was on a quest last year, Clarice decides, she picks Annabeth for her team, and she looked like she was about to pick Percy until Annabeth told her not to, which obviously upsets Percy. And then we get like a cool scene with Tyson, and I believe this is in the books. It's something that like a Cyclops can do, and so because Tyson has really good hearing, and so he tells Percy what Annabeth told her teammate Bronte, which is to take out Percy and make sure he doesn't win the race, and he does it in their voices, which is like a mimic thing that they can do, the Cyclops. So I kind of like that. Kind of reminded me of the Mockingjay, or not the Jabberjays from the Hunger Games, where they can kind of like mimic people's voices and talk. So that was kind of a cool thing to see, and obviously that upsets Percy even more, and he does not understand what's going on with Annabeth and why she just won't talk to him, which is understandable coming if you look at it from Percy's point of view. And so Percy just decides to go on the quest by himself, and then he falls asleep, and then we get our first scene of this episode, our only scene, I guess, with Grover, and they're bonded with the empathetic link, and Grover's telling him, hey, we got like a week until I'm supposed to marry this Cyclops, so we get the wedding dress, which is classic from the book. We get Percy in the wedding dress first, and then Grover's in the wedding dress because it's like a weird link dream thing, and so there's a deadline now, so Percy's like, all right, we have to go get Grover. And, Grover explains the whole, Cyclops has bad vision, so he thinks, I'm his bride, and I told him, we have to wait till the wedding before he can see me, and that I'm wearing goat-scented perfume, so he doesn't think I'm a satyr. So, obviously, Percy needs to get going on this quest now, so he heads out to the shore, and he tries to talk to Poseidon and, ask him for a quest, but instead he's met by Hermes, once again played by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and we do get a reference to the scene in the first season at the casino, Vegas, Percy says what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and then we get a little bit of an adult joke here where Hermes says what happens in Vegas is the reason for half the kids in the Hermes camp, so, might go over the kids' heads, but kind of funny, so if you know, you know. And then Hermes, basically gives Percy the permission for the quest. He grants him the quest. He gives him the items, the wind thermos and the vitamins. And, Percy, can't believe that Hermes wants to try to save Luke. But I like that. Hermes is, very much, he's, referring to Percy as cousin. And, Hermes is like, well, yeah, I, haven't been there for Luke, but he's still my son. Right? So Hermes is all about the family. He, and he tells Percy he's finally starting to understand how the family works. And so I like everything we get here with Hermes. And then Annabeth finally catches up, and then she and Percy kind of talk a bit. She kind of explains that she just doesn't like being a normal kid. She didn't enjoy going to the roller coasters and movies, and she only knows how to be a demigod. And that it kind of feels like she maybe even resents Percy a little bit because he does know how to be a kid, and just, and that she assumes he wouldn't understand her, and that's why she's been a little distant with him. But before they could really talk and get into it, Tantalus shows up, trying to kill them because he's crazy, and he's justifying himself by oh, you guys are breaking the rules, so the gods will understand. And I'm like, I don't think Poseidon's gonna like you, killing his only human demigod son. Maybe not. I don't know. Zeus won't care. Yeah, so he's crazy, and he has celestial bronze, crossbow arrows that he's gonna shoot at them before he can get one off. Tyson comes by and just knocks him over and hops in the boat. They get a little dinghy and they start rowing off, and then Tantalus shoots a hole in the boat, and Tyson's really quick to want to patch it up, which is good. And then Percy deflects another one with Riptide, so that's cool. But then they just sail off towards the Princess Andromeda. So next episode, we're going to get Luke and the Princess Andromeda crew, and that's going to be really good. So looking forward to that. So I actually really did like this episode. First off, the chariot race, I just thought was really good. Action, the production design, the costume designs, all of that looked really good, and it was just a lot of fun. And so I really like that. I think that there's just a little bit more fun so far this season. The tone of the episodes seems to be a little bit more balanced between lighthearted, comedic moments, warm moments, and the drama and action stuff. And it feels more like an action adventure type. Versus I think season 1 to me was just a little bit of downer for me personally. So I like that we're getting a bit better of an even tone here, but we're also keeping a lot of things from the book. I think the chemistry between Percy and Annabeth has gotten better this season. I like Tyson a lot. He just brings a lot of kind-hearted levity to the scenes that he's in. We get the nice, cute moment between Clarice and Chris Rodriguez, and I'm not sure, pretty sure Chris Rodriguez is on Luke's side, so I'm not sure if we're going to get that by the end of this season, or if that's next season. I don't really remember that, or if maybe they're just not going to do that. I don't know, so we'll have to see about that. But yeah, I just really like the balance between all the serious stuff, the action, and then trying to keep it a little lighthearted, because this is for kids, right? Like, I think kids are going to relate to this season, and I think if you like the books, you're going to enjoy this season too. And so, I mean, it's only 2 episodes so far, but it's really good. And then the one thing that I still wish we just got longer episodes. These are just too short, and I just wish we had a little bit more time in between some of the scenes to kind of really breathe, really settle in with the characters and the moments, and just kind of develop things a bit at a more even pace rather than the quick breakneck pace of like, we got to cram this into 40 minutes. So these absolutely should be hour-long episodes. Like, I think with the Harry Potter show, that's going to be HBO, so they're going to be hour-long episodes. And because of that, there's going to be that breathing room. There's going to be the extra details from the book, and I think that's going to be really good. And I kind of wish Percy Jackson was that, but they're Disneyfying it, which I don't really like. They've got to stop doing that with all their properties. But yeah, so I mean, I know this is an adaptation, so they have to take some things out and make some changes where they need to, but it still could just be a little bit longer. Like, I still feel like these are just too short for what we're trying to do. And even though the chariot race was great, I would have liked to spend maybe more time with the campers, just moving around Camp Half-Blood would have been nice. We didn't really get hardly anything with Mr. D. So there could have been a little bit more there, I think, that we could, if these were just a little bit longer. And I like what they're doing with Grover so far. I mean, we only get the one scene with him this episode, but I like that they're not like just shoehorning him in because he's a main character in places where he doesn't need to be. We're like staying fairly truthful to his story from the book. We're not just like throwing him in or like added, flashbacks or anything. So even though it's just the one scene, it was really good. And I like what they're doing with Grover here. I like the actor in the role as Grover, too. I think he does a really good job. So I like all that. I do feel like Annabeth's a little bit of a bummer in this episode, but I get, you get her point of view and where she's coming from, so I think that kind of works. But I do wish we can kind of maybe work through that with Percy and get back to a better friendship dynamic with them. And so, hopefully we can move past that going forward. We only got a little bit of Clarice here, but I like what we got, and obviously we're going to get more, I think, next episode with the Army of the Dead and everything. We're going to see Ares, so that's good. We're looking forward to that. And then obviously more with Luke next episode, and I like what they're doing with Luke. Like, we only actually got like one scene with him in the first 2 episodes, and that was a little bit in the first episode. But I like what they're doing with Luke too. They're also not like trying to shoehorn him in either, but I think we are going to get more Luke this season, and I like so far that we've sort of built Luke up as a character, where I always felt Luke was a bit flat in the books, and I'm hoping that we could do more with his character and really build him up so that he is more of a tortured soul type, even more of a threat, bringing out Kronos and everything, whereas in the book, he just, I don't know, I don't really like Luke in the book. I just think we didn't get enough of his story until like the last book, and that's kind of it didn't make me like the character. I didn't care for a redemption arc for him, but I think for this version of Luke, I think they're going to make us care about him a lot more, so I am looking forward to that. So yeah, I'm really happy with what we're doing so far. I really like the lighthearted moments. There is a mention of Tyson writing to Percy's mom, which I like. I think it kind of just shows the difference between Percy and Tyson in terms of their personality and where their priorities are. because Tyson's just such a kind-hearted, warm soul, and Percy's got a lot of stuff going on, right? So yeah, I'm really happy with what we're doing so far. Looking forward to the next episode. So thank you all for watching the Percy Jackson of Poseidon podcast. Stay tuned to the channel for more Percy Jackson reviews. I will be reviewing Chalice of the Gods soon, and then obviously episode 3. So stay tuned to the podcast channel for that. So thank you all for watching, and until next time, later, Seaweed Brain. Bye.